you haven't gotten time to grab your newspaper this morning, no worries, because Good Morning Africa is back again on your screens, where we bring you the news making headlines across SADC. Now, my name is Aina Raiza Koyo, and alongside me is Ashwin Berry. Happy Monday, and thank you very much for joining us. Welcome back from the weekend.
Hey, I'm back from the weekend, and
Yes.
I've got a colorful shirt because I don't want anyone to tell me it's a blue Monday. I'm responsible
we
for my
reject
own
those.
vibes. We reject all such things, and every single day we bring you a day that we are commemorating
Yeah.
internationally, and today is Fibonacci Day.
Wow,
What would you guess that is?
What is Fibonacci? I was just going to ask you.
I found out about that today. So
Yeah.
there are sequences that appear in nature time again, ones that seem to define the very basis of our reality and coordinate how everything comes together. One of these numbers is the Fibonacci sequence, and it can be found in the most surprising of places. Fibonacci Day commemorates this sequence and the man who brought it to our attention in 1202. Here's a video on that.
Welcome back to Good Morning Africa. It's still Fibonacci Day. Every morning we learn something new, and right about now we are going to head straight into our news-making headlines. Now, the first story is how the Bushiris were smuggled out of South Africa. Fugitive prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary were issued with diplomatic passports bearing decoy names and applied with cosmetic facial changes before they were smuggled out of South Africa in Malawian President Lazarus Chakwera's hired jet. Now, several insiders in the government security cluster, including diplomats and military intelligence sources, have confirmed this information. A bad move for international relations.
Yes, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of important mitigation, a lot of strategy.
Yeah.
It is a tense situation. I don't know if I've ever seen such relations happen between the SADC countries, but we'll see how it goes. We move over to Ethiopia with the Tigray crisis, where Debretsion Gebremichael, the man at the heart of the conflict, he was a former guerrilla fighter who used to jam the communication network of Ethiopian troops, and he is now leading the fight against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed government for control of the northern Tigray region, described as the womb of the nation. Mr. Debretsion leads the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the party which controls Tigray and which has fallen out so dramatically with Mr. Abiy. Now married with a young child, Mr. Debretsion cut short his studies at the University of Addis Ababa in 1970s to join the TPLF in its 17-year war against Marxist ruler Mengistu Haile Mariam's Death regime. Wow, Ethiopia, I mean, we've been hearing about the story on a broader aspect. We've known who's on the side, obviously, with regards to the government. It's interesting to see who the rebels are, so to speak.
Yeah, and now speaking of rebels, we move over to Uganda. Police in Uganda have the right to shoot protesters dead if they reach a certain level of violence. Security Minister Eli Tamwine has said. Now, clashes with police sparked by the arrest of presidential candidate and former pop star Bobby Wine have left at least 28 people dead since Wednesday. He was later charged with spreading coronavirus at a campaign rally. But the human rights group says that the charge are a pretext to suppress opposition ahead of the election due in January. So much is going on here in Uganda.
What's happening in Uganda, and you know, we only hope for peace because it's never never comfortable to hear the words shoot to kill with
Yeah,
regards to
yeah,
protesters.
yeah.
We move over to Burkina Faso, where the election is taking place amidst jihadist threat. People are voting in Burkina Faso's presidential election, although polls are closed in parts of the north and east because of fears of jihadist violence. President Roch Kabore is seeking a second 5-year term with 13 opposition candidates challenging him. At least 400,000 would-be voters were unable to register because of the security situation. Brutal attacks have forced more than 1 million civilians from their homes in the past 2 years alone. You don't spend a lot of time really thinking about what it's like to try and have an election during wartime.
Yeah.
You know, there's elections happening in Namibia for different reasons right now. But yeah, it seems
It's
there's
always
less people
elections
speaking.
that bring chaos. And now we move on to another election news. In Somalia, in a crowded race, a newcomer tries to be the next Somali president. Master Abdi Habib Warsame, 44, probably wanted to pursue a career in political science, not politics. After all, with a PhD in political science, not many African politicians have studied that much to master the game of who gets what, when and how. While speaking at the press conference in Nairobi, Wasame said he has learned a lot to enable him to compete favorably in the upcoming Somali election. He was also quoted saying Somali is facing numerous challenges both regionally and globally, but the current administration has not helped the people of Somali realize that there is hope in the future. I am glad. I'm always looking forward to new leadership and new administration, just with this hope for the future.
Democracy functions with options. If there are no options, we
Yes.
don't have democracy
Word.
working right now. So we're going to move over to the G20 summit, which has kicked off in Saudi with a call for a united response to the pandemic. Saudi Arabia's King Salman on Saturday opened the Group of 20 summit as the coronavirus pandemic overshadows this year's gathering of heads of state, transforming it from an in-person 2-day meeting of the world's most powerful leaders to a virtual gathering of speeches and declarations. The pandemic, which has claimed more than 1.37 million lives worldwide, has offered the G20 an opportunity to prove how such bodies can facilitate international cooperation in crisis, but also underscored their shortcomings. This was very important. It's important to hear the most powerful countries in the world, and I believe the South African president was there.
The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa urges the world leaders to make COVID-19 vaccine accessible to all. Now, he urged the G20 world leaders to ensure that countries have access to COVID-19 vaccine in a bid to reduce the number of deaths. He was quoted saying, in the midst of the pandemic, even as we battle rising global infections, we must look towards inclusive economic recovery where there is no country left behind. And I couldn't agree any less. I think that's a great statement.
Absolutely, it is, and it's an essential statement coming from Africa, where usually our opinion is considered less. Kudos to Cyril for that. So we're going to move over to the World Bank, where they warned the G20, we're still there, against doing too little now to address debt problems. G20 leaders are poised to formally endorse extension of a temporary freeze in official bilateral debt payments by the poorest countries and adoption of a common framework for debt restructuring in the future. World Bank President David Malpass on Saturday warned G20 leaders that failing to provide more permanent debt relief to some countries now could lead to increased poverty and a repeat of the disorderly defaults seen in the 1980s. This is the year of anticipating problems and making sure that we just like take care of things so that it doesn't get worse later. And it's good that one of the G20 leaders is saying that.
And we are going to move on there to Nigeria, where Nigeria slips into recession and blames it on COVID-19 and oil prices. Nigeria has slipped into a recession after its gross domestic product contracted for the second consecutive quarter, according to official data released. Now, Africa's biggest economy is in recession for the first time since 2016. The recession 4 years ago was its first in its generation, and the country emerged from it the following year. However, growth has been fragile, and COVID-19 has hit the economy hard amid low oil prices. Hey, Africa's largest economy.
Yes, it's not the kind of place where you want to see problems, but you know,
No,
the last time they had
yeah.
a recession, they bounced back. So we certainly hope that
They can certainly do it this time around again.
always gotta have faith in the Nigerians. Now moving over to Malawi and Mozambique, where there are 4 continued peace in bordering districts. Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo Banda has assured of continued peaceful coexistence between Malawans and Mozambicans living in border districts. He was speaking in Blantyre at the end of the 13th session of the Malawi-Mozambique Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security. The discussions, which center on concerns to do with national security between the 2 bordering countries, started on Tuesday. Banda said the meeting was essential as Malawi and Mozambique share borders in a number of districts. You look at this story with the meetings, you look at the issue Namibia had with Botswana at the border, the issues Zimbabwe had with South Africa. I'm wondering how many more of these meetings happen and how essential they are, but it's good to see this kind of dialogue.
I think we need to engage each other in more on our bilateral
Yes,
relations.
let's see where we are. Let's see where we are.
Now we are going to move on to our next story and our last story. FIFA raises another red flag on CAF bosses. FIFA ethics investigators have asked the top football officials in Africa to explain why he agreed to revise a television contract in a way that appeared to benefit a commercial partner in the latest ethical concerns for troubled Confederation of African Football. Ahmad, the president of CAF, and the FIFA vice president, Constant Omari, CAF's powerful vice presidents, have been asked by FIFA to provide details about amendments to television contract with the company marketing. Accountability.
Accountability is key. Accountability is key. FIFA wants its answers, indeed. And we're still here at Africa Good Morning. I'm going to be back talking to Patricia Hoeksema from Old Harbour and List. I'm excited for this interview. We're going to be talking everything Namibian. I know will be joining me after that. And we hope you're getting ready, getting settled in, but certainly not turning off this channel. Keep your Facebook on. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning, where we bring you all the news happening in and around the region. And I'm excited for today's in-house guest, Patricia Hoeksema, who is the Ottawa and List Group's Manager of Corporate Relations. Today, however, she's representing Team Namibia, a member-based non-profit movement that is aimed at mobilizing Namibian consumers to buy local, as well as driving the promotion of the production of quality products and services. Welcome to the show. How are you feeling, Patricia?
Good, thank you very much. It's
Yes.
great being here.
All right, all right. So, I'm curious, when was the movement established and who's behind it?
So long before I was involved, there were some other passionate Namibians and corporates who in 2003 had this vision of creating consumer loyalty and love and passion for Namibian products and services. So you had founding members like the ONL Group and First National Bank, a number of bigger corporates that came together in 2003 already and started through voluntary contributions of their membership fees, creating a movement whereby Namibians are then encouraged to buy local products and services, and all of this being in service of the bigger Namibian agenda. So many of the founding members are still in place, but it has grown tremendously, and at the moment there are more than 100 Namibian entities that are part of Team Namibia.
Wow, that is fantastic. It's always good to have such an initiative that brings people together to make sure that Namibia is put at the forefront. That's lovely. So I saw that Team Namibia refers to the Ukumwe principle. I think I might know what it is in Zulu, but I'll let you explain first. Could you elaborate on what it refers to and why it's important?
Ukumwe actually just wraps up what Team Namibia is all around, and it's about our oneness. Acknowledging that as Namibians, this is our country, it's in our interest to work together as one, to support our own products and services, to take charge of creating employment, to take charge of growing our own industries and growing our economy. And it is that oneness, that family mentality, the family values of oneness and looking after each other, because what happens to you happens to me as well.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about.
Yes, so I had it in my head, Ukume, so that's Ubuntu.
Yes.
Ubuntu, Abantu. This is beautiful. I love it. I love it when I see African concepts, especially established in the corporate world, because it's African corporates as well. But I'm just saying, when we have these concepts which have always brought us together, and you're conscious enough to be like, Ukume, this is what it means. It's about us moving together as a community. So tell me, why is it essential for consumers to support local, not just in Namibia, anywhere?
Yeah, buying local is one of the foundations and one of the big opportunities any economy has to grow. It's about creating that circular economy whereby through creating great high quality products and services, making sure that we have revenue within our own economies, making sure that we're investing in our own future, taking control of creating a better environment for all of us, for our nation together, ultimately supporting employment, supporting education, upliftment of skills. So while those are all the things the economist would see, the environmentalist would also look at it and say, okay, so by growing or supporting local products, at least you're not traveling far. You don't have the huge carbon footprint.
Yes.
And so the person who is very passionate about fresh fruit and vegetables will say, at least your fruit and veggies are right from the farm and close by onto your plate fresh. So no matter who you are, there's the general accepted benefit is there for everybody, and it's something that we need to embrace.
Yes.
So irrespective of whether you're in Namibia and supporting local in Namibia or whether you're in Zimbabwe and supporting local there, it is around doing everything you can to stimulate that circular economy.
Yes, absolutely. Which leads me to my next question. How broad is your membership base?
It's unbelievably broad, from huge corporates and founding members like the ONL Group and First National Bank and Namib Mills, which many people know for having wonderful pasta and various other brands that are also exported wide and far and doing extremely well to bring in revenue into Namibia and feeding economies as well, or communities, to very small SMEs. The lady who makes high quality NAM choice linen that is available for all your hospitality industry.
All right.
Somebody who makes soaps and locally produced cleaning materials. There are such a variety of members in Team Namibia, from the actual manufacturer and producer of products and services right through to financial advisors, people providing hospitality industry services. So it is very broad,
Yes.
but it is around that common one thing we share, and that is the love for local.
Ukumwe,
Yes.
Ubuntu. I love it. So what are the benefits of being a part of Team Namibia? What are the benefits that businesses can get from that?
I think the first top of mind benefit is the fact that as soon as you become a Team Namibia member, that logo that differentiates you and that says to whoever sees your business, part of Team Namibia, immediately you have ownership and access to that, which allows the consumer, the person making a booking online, to see, aha, I choose this one because it's a member of Team Namibia.
Yes, yes.
Other things, of course, is when you go through the process of having your goods certified as being locally made. Look at your Tafel lager bottle, for example. Because it adheres to a number of requirements of local input. On that product, you can see proud product of Team Namibia.
Yes.
So those are visible elements. Then there's also, besides having visibly branded shelving and being visible to the consumer, Team Namibia has this network that supports each other.
Yes, yes.
So there's a lot of mentorship, coaching, access to learning, holding hands. Then there are benefits such as members supporting each other. We have media partners who give exceptional rates to Team Namibia members because they want to encourage promotion of their brand. So the benefits are far and wide.
Wow.
And it's up to us to find further benefit for each other together.
Definitely, definitely. And as long as the word together is there, it almost always cuts the problem in half. I do want to ask, though, are there specific requirements that prospective members need to adhere to?
Yeah, we have quite a number of things that are important. Quality is very important. Going through a vetting process whereby we can look at everything on the back end to certify that this is a product or a business that is certifiable as part of the Team Namibia brand. So, and then when it comes to the consumer-facing products, there need to be a certain percentage of local in there. So there's a vetting process behind that as well. But we have a number of membership categories. So the member who is not in a position to adhere with some of the bigger requirements might fall into a smaller category whereby you have the opportunity to grow. And that's what it's all about. It is giving everybody an opportunity.
Yes, yes.
So,
All right. No, I love that. I love that. I love that. I mean, I would like to encourage any business watching this that join Team Namibia. I mean, if you're going to join a team in Namibia, it might as well be the team that is for Namibia and Ukumwe. Now, Patricia, you're currently the acting managing director of Weatherman & Co. and the O&O agency that designs the campaign and artwork and the look of the Buy Local campaign. Please share with us more about the Buy Local campaign in particular.
Buy Local was a campaign which not just fits into what Team Namibia, its members and products and everything that Team Namibia stands for is about, but it is a campaign that also acknowledges the economic impact and the impact on delivery of the Sustainable Development Goals through buying local and growing Namibia. So this is where we partnered up from Team Namibia point of view with the United Nations in Namibia, in ticking those boxes around development, access to education, employment, everything that fits within your Sustainable Development Goals. And the other partner was the Retail Forum, Namibia Trade Forum, acknowledging that retailers have a very big role to play in making sure that what is available to the consumer is local and high quality local products. And it's these three parties together with some others that then took hands. Weatherman did the design for us, and you'll see the design is hands. And it's all about it being in our hands with the lockup of the local sign. And I absolutely love that because it is exactly what it's about. It is about taking hands to support local.
Yeah.
So together this campaign has mobilized from retailers right through to corporates, creating energy and excitement and awareness of what is local, but also the impact of our choice as consumers to buy local.
Yes.
And that is something where consumers sometimes being oblivious to the impact of their choices, they might just look at a product on the shelf and take it because of price.
Yes.
But in some cases, because we don't have economies of scale, you might find that the local product might be a little more expensive. And we do need to take that conscious decision to say, okay, I see this is a local product. I am going to pay that dollar more because it's a dollar that stays in Namibia and it's a dollar that stimulates our economy. So that's what it was all about. Started about 2 months ago, and it has been a wonderfully exciting journey whereby we've realized that we are all in this together and can do so much more together.
Absolutely. I love that. I really do. And where can people find more information on Team Namibia?
So Team Namibia does have a website. We have a Facebook site. A lot of information is over there. Our contact details are there. So please make contact with us through our website or through our Facebook link and get to know more about Team Namibia.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Patricia, for joining me. I've truly enjoyed this talk. And I love that, you're talking about how more people need to get informed. And I got informed right from the top. Like now I know everything. I can never pretend I don't know about Team Namibia. And I can never pretend it's not important to buy local. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you follow Team Namibia. Make sure you buy local. Make sure you catch us after this break.
Even though the sky is blue, your Monday doesn't have to be blue. Speaking of skies, here's your weather for today.
Hello there and welcome back to Africa. Good morning. We are here live,
and
direct.
in color.
Right about now, we're about to get joined by our colleague in Zambia, Mr. Mike Sichula. Mike, Oribwanji. Tiribwino. Yes, let's get straight into the first story. So police in Lusaka have launched a manhunt for a member of a local church who dragged a priest from the pulpit and started beating him up in full view of other congregants. Please tell us more about this story.
Okay, this is one of the stories that don't happen often. And what happened is that yesterday, during one of the church sermons at a local church called Kalingalinga Anglican Church in Kalingalinga, which is in the capital city. That's just banner of the church, but not the actual church. The actual church is Karingaringa Church, Anglican Karingaringa in Lusaka. So what happened is that this man, I only identified as Mr. Mwale, went to the pulpit as the priest was delivering a sermon, and he actually ordered him to stop preaching, but the priest decided to ignore him. But when he ignored him, this says the man, such that he went to the pulpit and dragged him from the pulpit and started beating him. So according to police, what they are saying is that initial investigations have revealed that there are some infighting within the church. So they are more or less like camps within the church, where some camps do not want the priest, others want the priest. Then also it is also reported that the priest is not liked by many followers because he has actually blocked some of them from owning or having authority of the car park, which is an income generating venture for the church. So those are some of the differences that are there. So they are also caused to say, no, this priest is actually causing division at this church, so they do not want. So all in all, what it means is that there are infighting between church members of the same church, and they are probably fighting over ownership of some of the income generating ventures initiatives initiated by the church. Uh,
Yikes.
uh, 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 yeah.
Yeah, no, church politics. I've never seen it get this messy because I was wondering why no one helped him. But when you tell
So
me
much
there's internal
drama.
conflict, yeah.
So much
Yeah,
drama. I wish I was
because
present during the
because
service.
because because from the initial thing we have not seen any video footage, because in this era, as you know, anything that happens like that you probably have to see video footage, but it seems it was a well planned arrangement where video footage hasn't been seen, unless if you find something are able to share with our colleagues so that
All right.
Africa can see what.
Yeah,
All
yeah, we'll
right.
see how that
I
develops.
would love to see that content. Now, Mike, Zambia is experiencing a fish deficit of over 87 metric tons of fish, and the country needs over 200,000 metric tons of fish to satisfy local demands on the market. Tell us more about that story.
Okay, as you know, in the Southern African region, Zambia controls, or Zambia has got access to about 40% of water bodies. But and also traditionally fish is normally caught through rivers, lakes, and generally to do with rivers and lakes, streams, and the like. So what has happened is that in Zambia, that's President Lungu at one of the fish centers here in Zambia. So what has happened is that in order to cut on this deficit, which is over 80,000 metric tons of fish, the government of President Lungu has initiated what they are calling Presidential Fish Farming Initiative, where the president is encouraging citizens to own fish farms so that the fish deficit can be reduced. Also, the government of Zambia has acquired about 23 million United States dollars from the African Development Bank to empower about close to 100,000 farmers who want to venture into fish farming. So this is generally the idea that the government wants to say, look, we have a fish deficit, but we have got a lot of water, and there's potential for this fish to actually create employment, and also we can also become a net fish exporter, because
Yeah.
some of the fish that we have in the country that it's coming as far as China. So the government doesn't want to go that route. So there's been a lot of investments that have been put in the aquaculture, and like this week, President Lungu will be launching the presidential fish farming initiative in Siavonga, where you have the Kariba Dam. So it is going to launch this project because there's also some fish farms already in that area that have greatly contributed to reduce the deficit. Because I think from the investment that has been done so far, the deficit should be coming down to somewhere around 50,000 metric tons or 60 somewhere there, because there's been a lot of investment in this area.
All right, all right. Well, it's good to see the Zambian government taking advantage of its resources, as you said, to try and make sure that they close the gap on that deficit. We're going to move over to our last story, Mike. Zambia's Court of Appeal has ordered that liquidation proceedings at Konkola Copper Mines be halted to allow the Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines Investment Holdings and Vendata Resources to proceed to arbitration. Could you please tell us a little bit more about this?
Okay, in 2019, President Lungu ordered that the government take over Konkola Copper Mine because, according to him, he said the copper mine has made a lot of promises of investment ever since they bought the mine, but this talk of investing millions of dollars to make sure the copper mine becomes viable and becomes a giant to reckon with has not been made. So in 2019, government took over this mine and placed it under liquidation and appointed the liquidation appointed somebody to look to oversee the affairs of this mine. That is Mr. Milingo Lungu. So, but what has happened is that the Court of Appeal in Dola last week said, no. You, the ZCCMIH and the Vendanta Resources, the owners of the Konkola Copper Mine, you need to go for arbitration. But the provisional liquidator, Mr. Milingo Lungu, has said, despite this court order, I am still in charge and I'm going to make sure that this mine becomes a giant to reckon with in as far as the mining is concerned. So these arguments, what they have contributed that now Konkola Copper Mine has reduced copper production because of challenges. Just for instance, between January and September this year, cobalt production went to below 30,000 metric tons. So meaning when you have got reduced cobalt production, it means that because cobalt is a byproduct of copper, but so what it means is that copper production has reduced. So because of these differences here and there, the government still maintains that we are still going to hold on to this mine despite the court order, and we are not going to let go of it to go for arbitration, because there's been a lot of concerns ever since the Vendanta Resources bought this mine at about $25 million some few years ago. They have not made enough investment, such that Zambia was reduced from being the #1 copper producer to second in Africa. So these are the problems that are there at this mine. But the government has actually warned to say any mine that is going to not to play to fulfill what they pledged, we're actually going to take over the affairs of such mine.
Oh, wow. Talk about making sure that efficiency is guaranteed. But that's what it's like. If we're talking national resources and we're talking about falling down from #1 to #2, the government needs answers and the government needs to make sure that everything balances out. Mike, thank you so much for bringing us that news from Zambia.
Thank you very much. And Africa, good morning. Have a blessed day.
Hey, same to you, brother. Same to you. How are you feeling, Anna?
I feel very great. I love the way he signs out every time he says, and Africa, good morning. It's a hit.
You better know.
You better know Zambia has signed out. And now that you are informed about everything else that is happening in Zambia, take a look at these messages. Happy Monday, and thank you very much for joining us right here on Africa Good Morning. You're still rising with the stars. My name is Aina Raiza Koyo, and alongside me is Ashwin Berry. Now, we are going to go straight into economic news. We're going to kickstart in South Africa, where Finance Minister said credit rating downgraded by Moody's and Fitch would increase the country's borrowing cost and constraints its fiscal options. The decision by Fitch and Moody's is a painful one, Tinto Mboweni, Minister of Finance, said on Saturday in a statement. Crediting rating agency Fitch and Moody's lowered South Africa's sovereign ratings deeper into the junk territory late on Friday on rising debts and likely further weakening its fiscal position. S&P Global affirmed its ratings. Africa's most industrialized nation currently has a debt of nearly 4 trillion rand, or 260 billion US dollars, or 63.3% of GDP. Its debt to GDP ratio is expected to swell over 90% in 3 years, the worst such increase in the world.
Yes.
It's a painful one.
It's a painful
and
one.
I quote Mboweni.
All right, so we move from South Africa and we head all the way up to Nigeria on a story that we touched on briefly earlier in the morning. Nigeria has slipped into a recession after its gross domestic product contracted for the second consecutive quarter, according to a data released on Saturday, which showed the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and low oil prices. Africa's biggest economy was last in recession in 2016, its first in a generation, and emerged the following year. Following Nigeria's first confirmed COVID-19 case in late February, lockdowns were imposed from late March until early May in the main cities, economic hub Lagos and the capital Abuja. The government had previously said it expected the economy to contract by as much as 8.9% this year in a worst-case scenario without stimulus.
Oh.
Africa needs to get it going, but the whole world is battling with the same issues. So, yeah.
But I have faith in Nigeria. I know they can bounce back. And now we move on to Zimbabwe. The government has raised road tolling fees by 166% for small vehicles, while heavy vehicles will pay nearly 120% more. The increase in effect on Friday will ensure more funding for road development and rehabilitation as the country approaches the raining season, said Tendai Mugabe, Public Relations and Marketing Manager of Zimbabwe's National Road Administration. Vehicle licensing fees have also been increased. The average exchange rate for local currency is now at $1 to 81.71 Zimbabwe dollar, according to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. I've heard that they wanted to introduce road tolling fee in Namibia, and I'm not sure how I feel. I'm skeptical.
I mean, look, if it helps, you were asking me if I'm taking a trip to Zimbabwe in December. 166% increase for small vehicles says you and I in Swakop, my friend.
Yeah.
So we're going to move over to Italy, where Italy will use its forthcoming presidency of the group of 20 major global economies to try to secure further debt relief for African states, a senior Italian diplomat said on Friday. Italy takes over the annual rotating presidency of the G20 on December 1 and will look to build a deal struck by a major international creditors in April that was aimed at relieving the world's poorest nations of debt payments. Every further move due to the diversity of the G20 membership is not going to be so easy, but we will work in order to achieve a good result, said Pietro Benassi, diplomatic advisor to Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. Benassi, who is helping to draw up Italy's G20 agenda, told the conference that outreach to Africa would be one of the priorities. Debt relief must represent one of the deliverables of the G20, and we will do our best to get it, he said. I like this guy. I like his energy. I don't know if you saw his picture. He's right there.
Good looking.
It looks like he's pointing to something, but if I'm pointing to something right now, I think I'm pointing at the economic indicators which are coming right now. We'll see after this.
You absolutely cannot start your day without an exercise. Now, if you don't want to do it alone, don't worry. I've got your back. Ash got your back. And here is our Flex in the Minute. Let's go.
Africa, good morning and welcome to Flex in a Minute. Now, it's early morning, guys, so we just want to really stretch ourselves. So we're going to have a chair yoga flow. So while you're watching this, you can just follow along with me as we do this quick stretch. So we're going to start off with a reach. So you're just going to go deep into it. You can interlace your fingers there and just bring it up. You can also look up into the sky. You can have your hands open as well. I'm just gonna hold that stretch for a few seconds. Okay, and now after this one, we're gonna go into your shoulder stretch right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hollow your back forward. So you're gonna press your chest forward and you're gonna hold this while holding onto your chair at the back. So you want to really stretch into this and feel it in your shoulder blades, feel it in your shoulders as well, and in your chest. Now we're gonna go into a knee bend. You're gonna go into this one. So you're just gonna hold it there. You're gonna start with one leg. You're gonna hold it up. So you can hold it up with the knee. You can also go there, hold it on, or hold it with your feet, or hold it at your feet. So just gonna hold this one. Move to the other side quickly. Just gonna stretch. It's a really, really quick stretch. So just for you to wake up a bit, get your morning started with a really quick stretch, get moving a bit, not just shock your body with a lot of movement. Now we're gonna go into a twist. So with a twist here, you really want to hold onto the top of the chair if you have one. You have a chair like this. Other than that, you can just turn and twist to the side without holding onto the chair. Now obviously the chair will help you with a deeper stretch. Twist to the other side as well. So if you don't have a chair, you're just going to twist like this, okay? But try to look forward, so that you can have that counter movement between this shoulder and this side and on the other shoulder. Now we're going to go into a quick forward bend here. So you're just going to hold this position. You can hold it here at your ankles and just stretch deep into it, okay? So that was a really quick stretch, a quick yoga flow on the chair, a chair yoga. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys had a quick stretch and had fun with that one. I'll see you guys in the next Flex in a minute.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. That was Flex in a Minute. We were all flexing in here. You should have seen our producer. His name is Ernest. He was stretching in front of everybody, taking the lead. So now we're going to move over to South Africa. Ari, are you there?
Yes, very good morning. Morning, Ashwin and Aina. I would have loved to see Aaron's flexing. I'll flex as well on the side.
It was quite the sight to behold, Ari.
You
I'll be
would have
very honest.
loved to see it.
So, Ari, we're going to
Absolutely.
get straight into our first sports story. COSAFA men's under 17 is currently being paid in South Africa. Please tell us more about that.
Yes, it's a big tournament, COSAFA under 17 men's tournament, but there's, we can call it chaos, and there's been a big disruption in the tournament. Unfortunately, 4 teams were disqualified, unfortunately, over the weekend for fielding overaged players. So that is a big news coming from that tournament. The teams that was disqualified, unfortunately, is Botswana, Zimbabwe, Comore Island, and also Eswatini. Eswatini is the old Swaziland, for those that don't recognize the name. Unfortunately, the teams are also disqualified for qualifiers for the under 17 Africa Cup of Nations. So it's quite a big call made by organizers. And so news from the tournament and news from Zimbabwe is that Zimbabwe is challenging the decision, and they want to know the name of the player that was overaged. The name of the player have not been released by COSAFA. And I think the challenge is that the tests are done by MRI scans, and it's done by doctors look at bone fusion in the wrist of each player, which is unlikely to occur before age 17. So that is how the tests are done. And so the 4 teams are not allowed to play anymore, but Zimbabwe will challenge that call. What what's happened now for the rest of the tournament, the 4 teams left is South Africa, Malawi, Angola, and Zambia, and they will play round robin and still have the final on next Sunday, the 29th of November. Games yesterday quickly in that round robin. South Africa and Malawi played to a 2-2 draw, and then Zambia beat Angola by 2-0. And they will continue the round robin then tomorrow. But we'll follow that as it develops. And some tennis news as well. The ATP Tennis Tour, it is the season ending. It's the last tournament of the year. It's quite an elite tournament. They call it the 5th major. It's the 8 top seeded ranked players, the men's players that play in a round robin and in the final. And it was the Russian Daniel Medvedev that beat Dominic Thiem in the final yesterday in 3 sets. And earlier in the semi-finals, Medvedev beat Rafael Nadal and Thiem beat Novak Djokovic. So it's the new players coming forward there in world men's tennis. And then also some golf news from Southern Africa. It's the co-sanctioned tour. It's the Sunshine Tour co-sanctioned by the European Tour. And it was the Joburg Open played at Rand Park in Johannesburg, won by Joachim Hansen of Denmark. And he played a good round 67 in the final round for minus 19. He won 2.9 million rand for his efforts, so quite a good purse for him. Second was South African Wilco Nienaber. And Wilco Nienaber was on 17 under. And the Southern African interest there, 2 Zimbabwe players that did well. Scott Vincent, he tied for 30th on 5 under par, and then also Benjamin Foley-Smith, he tied for 51st. That was 2 under par. He made a good 66 in his final round. And then some English Premier League results. Liverpool had a good result last night. They beat Leicester City 3-0 at home. It's a good win for them. Tottenham Hotspur, too strong for Man City. That was 2-0 on Saturday. And then Chelsea beat Newcastle by 2-0. And then, actually, unfortunately, Arsenal didn't do well yesterday. They had a 1-0 draw with Leeds. And then Man United, they won against West Ham. The score there was 1-0. And the log at the moment, Liverpool after 9 games and Tottenham Hotspur after 9 games, they have 20 league points, and Chelsea and Leicester sitting with 18 points. And maybe while I'm with football, other Southern African interest football as well in Malawi soccer and Malawi, the Mighty Wanderers. They played the Tulpa United yesterday. That was in the pre-season friendly in Blantyre. And Mighty Wanderers won that game 4-1, and they will play their first league game coming weekend against Mazuza Warriors. And then also we spoke on Friday about the Zimbabwean club FC Platinum that had a challenge with their coach, their Dutch coach, Hendrik Pieter de Jong. They didn't have a A-class CAF certificate. So the club moved quickly over the weekend, and they fired him, so to speak. And so he's replaced by Norman Mapeza as the new coach for FC Platinum. And then lastly, some rugby news. There was some rugby in Europe and in Australia in the Autumn Cup, Nations Cup in London, in Twickenham, England. England beat Ireland by 18 points to 7. That was in Twickenham. And at Murrayfield, it was France that beat Scotland by 22 points to 15. So good wins for England and France in the Autumn Nations Cup. The Investec Tri-Nations also continued in Australia. Again, a good result for Argentina after beating the All Blacks last weekend. They played to a 15-all draw against the home team, Australia. And then closer to in African region, it was the Bulls from Pretoria. They clinched the SA Super Rugby Unlocked title by beating the Pumas 21-5 in Pretoria. So that's all the local and international sports news. Hope everybody's got a great day and a great week, and all the best from Cape Town.
Thank you so much, Ari. Thank you so much.
Yes, it has been such a busy week in sports, such a busy weekend in sports. And while I go give my friend over here a glass of cold water after that Arsenal lose, here are the messages.
We'll see you just now. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. We're getting to that last part of the show, but we don't just leave you like that.
Yeah,
we
no.
don't just ghost you. We'd like to make sure that you get all the information, or at least enough of a chunk for you to get
We like to remind you also, in case you forgot.
So you can get an idea
30
of what's
minutes
going on.
was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You hadn't dressed by then. By now, you're getting ready. You're ready to get to work. So let's get into our main headlines from today. How the Bushiris were smuggled out of SA, an interesting story that involves cosmetic cover-ups and all sorts of everything in between, including the Malawian president allegedly having them on his plane. Ethiopia's Tigray crisis. Debretsion Gebremichael, the man at the heart of the conflict. He left the University of Addis Ababa at the age of 27 to join the association, or should we call it the military sect that he is a part of right now. They currently run Tigray during this conflict. Bobby Wine protests, shoot to kill defended by Uganda minister. The Ugandan minister and the police have issued a statement saying that if protesters get to a certain point, they have the right to shoot and kill. Burkina Faso election takes place amidst jihadist threat. We're talking about 400,000 people who couldn't register to vote. It's going to be an interesting election. Hopefully the people's voice is heard, and more importantly, that there is peace in that region. Well, those have been our stories.
Yes, those have been our stories, and this has been our show. And remember, it's Monday. Reject the blue Monday. If you can't find inspiration, be the inspiration and be kind to one another.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us where we rise with you over here. Aina Riza Kweyo, Ashwin Berry. This is Africa. Good morning.